A K through 12 private Christian school opening up next fall. We welcome back, after an introductory conversation about this a few weeks back, Pastor Josh McPherson. Josh, good to see you.
Good to see you too, Dave. Thanks for having us.
And we didn't devote probably enough time to talk about your headmaster, but he's in studio here as well. And that is Ryan McKelvie. Ryan, it's my first chance to meet you.
Yeah, great meeting you, Dave, and thanks for having us on.
And folks that are Wenatchee Wild fans will recognize that name. So great to see you in person. All right, we don't want to spend too much time because there's lots of developments to talk about. But again, Pastor Josh McPherson with Grace City Church, why open a Christian school? We already have a lot of them here in the area.
Yeah, we had nothing going on and thought it'd be fun to do. Now, obviously, it's driven by deep convictions that God's called us as parents to be the ones who are primarily responsible for the education of our children, shaping not only what they think, but how they think and how they see the world. And it's been a deeply held conviction of Christian people for 2,000 years. And so if you look at history, what you see Christians doing, rather, wherever they go, three primary things, and it's happened everywhere in the world. Everywhere Christians go, they plant churches, they start schools, and they build hospitals. Those three things Christians the world over can be found doing, and I had known that theoretically, but as a 40 some odd years old, 4 kids, all of a sudden I'm feeling it parentally. I'm feeling it like existentially, like I need a place for my kids to go to school, and so it was first personal. And then theological, with our convictions that parents are responsible for the shaping of their children. And then practical, we have a ton of families in our church that would love a place to have their kids to go that align with their values and affirm their worldview and approach schooling from that perspective. As well, we just have a huge heart to create more educational opportunities in the Valley for families. We think more families having more options is better for everyone. And there are some great Christian schools in the Valley. Mike Picatoli is new to town. He's from the East Coast. He's running the River Academy now as our headmaster. Incredible guy, really good dude. He's become a dear, dear friend. And they got a great thing going there. But there's only so much space that they can have. And they have a waiting list as long as your left leg. And so with over 15,000 school-age kids in the Valley and surrounding areas, and really, if every Christian school was to capacity, they could fill about 800 to 1,000 of those seats. So there's just a market need, for lack of a better word, for more options for families. And we felt compelled to at least attempt to try to provide one more option for families in the Valley.
There's a lot more on that, and we certainly direct you to a post that we have on KPQ.com. I'm sure on Grace City Church's website you can see some video discussions and some elements you put up there as well.
Yep, gracecitychurch.com or gardencityfarmers.com is just kind of a one-dimensional website we have kind of stood up just for application's sake. You can read about our long-term dream, our educational philosophy, our cultural alignment, our lifestyle agreement docs, kind of our philosophy of how to go about Christian education. It's all there available for folks to read if they'd like. You can get there from either gracecitychurch.com or right to gardencityfarmers.com.
And we're going to delve into some of those elements, but if you want to kind of see how did it get to this point, all that's online if you'd like to take a look. So we want to find out a little bit more about Ryan McKelvie and how you got brought in as headmaster. Last time we heard, you were coaching Wenatchee Wild players, and your life took an interesting turn.
Yeah. We've there's a lot to it, and we've got a kind of a long story, my wife and I. And I'll make it brief. But when the Wenatchee Wild started, I was the associate head coach for the first Wenatchee Wild team, and Paul Baxter was the head coach at the time, and Chris Clark was my roommate in college, and I got hired, and we had another job, and him and I moved out here together and became roommates out here, and both met Wenatchee girls and got married, and are both still living here. So I coached with the Wild for the first 2 years and helped get the Wild off the ground, and then the success of the Wild for me led to a bunch of college jobs and opportunities. I was a Division I assistant coach, Division III head coach, and I had met my wife, who's from East Wenatchee, during my first stint with the Wild. And as we, started looking at having kids, we wanted to move back to Wenatchee because we just felt like it was an amazing community to raise kids and be close to her family. So I was coaching college hockey, and we had this wild idea to start a hockey academy here. And I remember calling Bliss Littler, who's the current general manager for the Wild, and just said, hey, we're thinking about maybe starting a hockey academy. He said, well, you can't start one because we're going to do that, but would love you to run it. And so I came back, and I was the director of what's now called the Wild Hockey Academy. And I think I had that role for 7 or 8 years. And we just established that brand new program, and it's going strong today. Troy Mick's taking over and doing a great job with that program. And then a big part of that was also helping with the Wenatchee youth hockey. And that eventually led to me just getting a passion in my heart to get into education. That was my educational background was in teaching and administration. And had a open-minded superintendent in Chelan that happened to be from Canada and knew all about hockey, and hired me as the district athletic director in Chelan. And then that we just had a whole journey as parents. Our son going through Christian schooling, and seeing that, and me realizing that I wanted to work in Christian education. So we where I could be at the school with my kids. And we've got little boys, 5 and 8 years old. And so we took a job last year out in Denver, Colorado at Resurrection Christian School. It was something we prayed a lot about and really felt called to move out to Colorado. And like I said, I wanted to work in Christian education, felt very convicted about Christian education and raising our kids up in that environment, and being at school with my own children. And we got out there, and it was a great school and a great employment opportunity, but there's just a number of reasons we just missed Wenatchee, our home. This is our home community. In that whole story, we had become, we got baptized at Grace City Church, fell in love with the church and with the community there, and just felt like that's our church home. And we had this deep conviction to move back to Wenatchee. I was an athletic director, and looking at moving into headmaster type roles at Christian schools. But I would have thought I would have to stay out in Colorado to do that. We wanted to move back to Wenatchee, and felt this real strong calling on our heart that's the direction God was leading us. And we were just looking at any opportunity to move out here or move back to Wenatchee. And that's when the pastors called me and said, hey, we're thinking about starting a Christian school. What do you think about running it? And it was like, well, that's remarkable, because that's exactly what we felt God had put on our hearts. And so we did a quick turnaround and moved back from Colorado back to Wenatchee.
It sounds like it didn't take long to reach that decision.
Yeah.
We're back talking with Pastor Josh McPherson from Grace City Church, Ryan McKelvie, who will be the Garden City Academy headmaster. The private Christian school opens up next fall. What's the difference between a headmaster and a principal, real quick?
That's a great question. We get that a lot. So our principal is Kent McMullen.
Okay, so there is a difference.
Yep.
2 different roles. Okay.
Kent's going to be the K through 12 principal. And then we also have an academic, dean of academics or director of academics, and that's Cree Apple. And so that's kind of our leadership team, us three. And Kent, as the principal, will deal with culture, and he'll deal with helping raise the children. And a big part of our school, we want to walk alongside the parents, and we want to help them in their parenting. We want to help them in child raising, in their marriage, all of those types of things. And Kent has been a longtime pastor and is remarkable at culture building, remarkable at helping people in their marriages, and just a phenomenal mentor for parents in child raising. So that'll be a big part of his role. My role will be a lot on the operations side as we look to do all these incredible dreams that Josh has laid out in his vision for our school. It's we've got a lot to do. So.
Yeah. Let's talk about 2 things before we hit the break. There was a capital campaign. You have to raise money to do this. And I understand tonight and then this Sunday, I was reading you plan to announce teaching staff.
Yes.
So I'm not any spoiler alert here, but first off, there was a capital campaign. How much was raised and pledged towards this goal of Garden City Academy?
Yeah. Well, it's a remarkable story, and it's almost kind of surreal. It feels unreal even to talk about it, what the Lord's done. But there was three main focuses of our resource initiative for the church. And the first focus was building out phase 4 at the property, so kind of finishing the master plan out there on our Sunnyside property. And that includes buildings for more Grace Kids space, because we want to build the family capital of the world, and we're out of space for young families and youth, as well as some more space for our Vector Academy and just finishing the church property. So that was the first chunk of the need. The second was planning a church with John Lovell over out in Georgia, who's a dear friend, and so that was a small part of it. And then the third piece was the school, and we're not funding any operations of the school with the capital campaign, but we're funding the startup costs. It's a significant heavy lift to get this thing off the ground. We're probably going to have north of 30 full-time employees. Many who are leaving jobs are making good money with secure pensions, and we're asking them to come take a huge risk to be at a startup that has a very small revenue stream. And so the goal of the fundraiser was to build out phase 4 on our campus, get this church planted in Georgia, Rome, Georgia, and then get the school started. So all the capital expenses that a school needs to get started. And the Lord willing, we're looking for property and buildings, Dave. I mean, if anybody's listening, it's got 30 acres they don't need, give me a call.
Sure.
And so kind of building the war chest for that. And so our goal was $10 million. The gifts come in two forms. On Commitment Sunday, everyone brings a cash gift over and above tithes and offerings. So, people are giving their tithes to the church, and this is a chance to go beyond that with a cash gift, and then a 2-year pledge in terms of what they want to pledge to this work. And so it was a remarkable community experience, Dave. If we had hours to talk about it, it would be enough time. Our youth alone raised over $177,000. That's 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th graders. And that's not mom and dad's money. I worked hard summer jobs. That's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 gifts from youth who are passionate about this school, passionate about blessing their community. Our goal was $10 million. Our miracle goal, we called it, was $12 million, because that's what we would need to kind of do all the things on the plate. And then I told our church, we're viewing it like we're climbing Mount Everest. And this initial offering would get us to base camp. And then we'll kind of acclimate there, and then we'll work our way to Camp 1 sometime in the future. Well, with our faith goal at $10 million, our miracle goal at $12 million, by God's grace and some miracle I don't understand, our church community gave over $15 million. It's humbling. It's awe-inspiring. I would use the word miraculous. I don't understand how it happened. The math doesn't work out. It's cosmic math. It's not 20% of the people doing 80% of the lifting. It's over 1,700 different individuals digging deep, giving till it hurts, because they care about our community and they want to see families supported, and they want to see families strengthened, and they see kind of this cultural war against the nuclear family, and they're tired of being frustrated, and they want to do something about it. They want to do something positive to build something better, to strengthen our community and build the family capital of the world. So just a remarkable outpouring of generosity from our church family. And people ask, did you get through 2 or 3 big checks and then just some pocket change? No, it was over 850 pledges, over 1,700 individuals giving what they could, and it just adds up. So it was remarkable. Successful sounds like the wrong word to say. It was a remarkable experience of God's grace, and there's a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum, and just a lot of people kind of marveling right now at what God did.
This is really more of a yes/no question, but
Yep.
So you're going to be announcing staff tonight and Sunday, who the teachers are?
Yep.
Okay, so let's dive into that a little bit more on
Okay.
the other side of the break. Where have you found this teaching staff?
Yes.
Education employment's a pretty big sector around here, and where did you find these people? I think you're. I can tell by the glint in your eyes that you're both anxious to talk a little bit about
Yes.
that. We'll throw that one next at Ryan McKelvie who's going to be headmaster, is here, and Josh McPherson with the Grace City Church. We're talking about the Garden City Academy, and ready to open up next September, and the conversation continues on the agenda. All righty, we're at 127 and talking about a little bit more in depth about what is the Garden City Academy. And last time we had Pastor Josh McPherson here from Grace City Church. I think I was putting the word proposed in front of it, but this is happening. You got your headmaster, Ryan McKelvie, here as well. So, Ryan, where will these teachers come from? And let's maybe segue as well a little bit into curriculum, but where will we get the teachers for all of this?
Yeah, I can talk quickly about maybe the heart of where we're hiring, and I know Pastor Josh has done a lot of the legwork.
I won't ask for any names. I think that's maybe part of a reveal, but essentially, tell us a little about the search for your staff.
Yeah, well, I'm going to answer in two parts because I think when you asked earlier if we're going to reveal the teachers, you said we both had a gleam in our eye, and we totally do because this is a complete championship team. It's a remarkable group of people, and they're people that are going to greatly impact the lives of our students. So we're just super excited about that. And one of the things for me that, the big calling for us to come back was we love Christian education. We love Wenatchee. But for us, ultimately, the biggest thing was we love Grace City Church and the culture that's been built at Grace City Church. And now working for the church and being behind the scenes and seeing the culture that's been built on the staff at Grace City Church, it's remarkable what our elders have done and the people that they've hired, and then how they've cultivated the staff to work together and impact people's lives. And so I'm just super excited that we're trying to take that formula and now impart that on our school to impact, the Wenatchee community for generations to come. So the staff, the faculty that we have in place, I couldn't be more excited about it. And they're coming from all different professions, and they're all exceptional people.
Did you have to go out and recruit?
Well, yes and no. We had almost 200 inquiries within the first week. People offering, wanting a job. Not like, please hire me, but like, hey, how can I help? What can I do? I want to be on the team. Let me know. I'll work for free. So we have a two-pronged approach to the staff. One is staff we hire, and the other is we call our legacy staff. And that's folks who are maybe retired, maybe don't need an income, and who could work at the school for free, thus kind of lowering our HR operational overhead and allowing us to do more at the school. So we got dozens and dozens and dozens of legacy staff folks ready to dive in. And then to the gleam in our eye when we talk about our staff, they were just at my home last night with our staff and their spouses. And we just went on the circle, why are you here? And to hear why they're here, it's remarkably moving. I think one, like Steve Simonson from Kashmir, he's going to be our athletic director. And I think he said it best when he said, I got an education for a job. It became a lifelong career, and now it's a calling. And that's where all of them are at. They're not here to pursue a career. Most, if not all, are taking significant pay cuts to be here. They're here because they're responding to the call of God to invest their life in children, in students, in youth, and families in our community. And it's compelling to be around. And I've been telling. We've been kind of recruiting since this summer, and every family I sit down and say, look, here's the deal. Garden City Academy will never recover from our founding faculty, good or bad. The trajectory that you set with who you are and how you teach will be what we live with for the next 20 years. So we're going to get it right. And the invitation to these people has been to not come and do something in particular, but come and be a certain kind of person. We're not asking them to come first and teach. We're asking them to come and be who they are here, because we know that kids catch more than is taught. And so I told the staff last night, your personal integrity, your marriage, your love for Jesus has never mattered more than in this moment, because what will make the deepest imprint on the kids is not what you say or what you do, but it's who you are. So who you are matters. And these people get that, and they're just life-giving people. They are. I told our church my commitment is that we would not hire anybody that I would not want personally mentoring my children. And as I sat and looked at this team in my living room last night, I thought, gosh, if I could rewind the clock for my 4 kids, I'd do it in a heartbeat, because it's just a remarkable team of very, very gifted, capable, competent people of character, but also, I think more importantly, people have a calling to invest their life in local families. So
I want to ask about maybe what would maybe the K through 6 age groups, maybe the secondary, because you're going like K through 12, so that is pretty comprehensive. So what does the day look like? I mean, is it like what we traditionally think? Or I'm not familiar with other Christian schools, how they kind of operate. So Brian, maybe you could handle that. What's a typical day like?
Yeah. So there's a lot to it, but from like a curriculum academic perspective, we would consider ourselves a classical Christian school. And so there's a blueprint there. And there's different phases in the trivium. Of grammar phase is essentially the K through 6 phase, a lot of memorization. They're learning things like Latin, they're learning cursive writing, a lot of back to the basics type things that have been taken out in a lot of educational settings. Then they move on to the logic phase in those middle years, 7th through 9th grade, somewhere in there. And then they finish up in the rhetoric phase. And the beauty of the classical education is the students are learning to read the classics. They're reading a lot. They have extensive writing and public speaking type things, so that they're super comfortable. And ultimately, they're able to critically think. They're able to articulate ideas, defend positions, and it's a classic liberal arts education where they're well-rounded people. And then within that, we're making sure that the Bible and God's word is at the center of everything that we do. One of the unique things that we wanted to do with our school, and in our mission statement, is to be a unique, one-of-a-kind K through 12 school. One of the unique things that we wanted to solve for, which is a challenge for all private Christian schools, is getting our high school students college credits when they're at the high school. Because that's a real, thing for someone to do something like Running Start, where it doesn't cost the family money, and they go through a Running Start type program. We want to have our own Christian version of a Running Start program, where the students are involved in a rigorous academic course load at the high school level, and they're getting college credits so that they're ready when they do graduate. They're ready to hit the ground running if they want to go on to college as the next steps.
And I want to ask you as well, how I was looking at some of the material, there is going to be a homeschool option as well. How will that work? Because what we're talking right now is Monday through Friday classroom instruction, the reading, writing, arithmetic that people talk about and say they wish public education really emphasized more. But you're going to have homeschooling. How would that work?
Yeah, so we'll have a homeschool co-op option as well. I mean, ultimately, the heart, I think Pastor Josh would agree with this. The heart of our school is to provide options for families so that they can determine what's the best option for my child. Obviously, we believe in a biblical worldview, and so all of our options revolve around teaching through a biblical worldview. And so the K through 6 homeschool option is something where they'd meet twice a week, probably Tuesdays and Thursdays. It would be all volunteer parent type teachers. We would have our dean of, or our director of academics at the school also will be the director of the co-op, Curry Apple. She's got a ton of experience doing this. She would be able to oversee it, make sure that it's structured. And then the parents would have a curriculum to take home on those days that they're not in the classroom. And then they get those 2 days in the classroom. That's how the homeschool co-op works. And then after 6th grade, we really feel that it's very beneficial for those older kids to be in the classroom and to have our full-time faculty dripping their knowledge into them and mentoring them and leading them, so that they're coming alongside and partnering with the parents. So they're obviously getting their parents at home and their parents doing a great job raising them, but then they also have people that are supporting them, just from a different angle, so that the kids have multiple people coming around them, guiding them, leading them, and ultimately, creating stronger men and noble women.
We'll need to take a break here, but when we come back, we'll want to talk about, initially, you will find the Garden City Academy at King's Orchard Church. But what about maybe 10, 15 years down the road? How does this all play out as maybe enrollment would expand? And let's talk about, we'll certainly give some information about how folks can enroll, but I want to ask about some real practical things like I understand particulars with homework or cell phones or dress code and all of that. And we can only begin to kind of scratch the surface of the number of questions I could come up with. We'll tell you how you can get more information if you're considering this. 137 back with more with Josh McPherson, pastor at Grace City Church, Ryan McKelvie, the headmaster for Garden City Academy, and the agenda rolls on after this. And we're having a conversation with a couple of the principals, I guess is the wrong word, but Josh McPherson, the pastor at Grace City Church, and Ryan McKelvie, who will be headmaster at the Garden City Academy. They'll be called the Farmers, right?
That's right.
Go Farmers.
Go Farmers.
Yeah, there you go. There's a logo. There's uniforms and all that. And before we jump to that, I want to talk about some real specific things. No cell phones are allowed. I was reading some of the frequently asked questions that folks could dive in a little bit more. No cell phones. I'm an adult and I wish we didn't have cell phones because it dominates my life, but no cell phones on the campus, correct?
No, we're just trying to minimize all distractions for the ultimate learning environment, and we are pro less screens, more faces. If parents wanted their kids to look at screens all day, they could stay home and do online schooling. And so we decided to draw a pretty hard line there, as well as, of course, not just the practical implications, but there's a lot of dangers with cell phones in pockets of kids having access to anything available on the internet. And we don't want parents worried about their kids being exposed to something that they wouldn't want at school. And we don't have to try to monitor it. It's too hard. It's too impossible. So just a nice, simple, clean standard. No cell phones on campus. If you got to talk to mom and dad, they can go the old-fashioned way, call the office, and we'll connect them. And every parent we've talked to has said, thank you so much. So I just thought I want to build a school I'd like to go to. And I don't want to look at my phone all day, and so that would make it simple for the kids.
Ryan, as headmaster, you're in charge of certainly like this homework. What's the model for homework?
Yes, great question. We're trying to balance being a really having a high academic rigor at our school, but also really respecting the family life. So we want to do a great job of being efficient in the classroom, getting our work done in the classroom, and minimizing the amount of homework that our students have to take home, while still really pushing our students and challenging them to be excellent too.
What about the hours of instruction? I always thought that there was like a certain number of days that kids had to be in school. Does that compute out to a certain number of hours? How does that all work? And do you meet that standard? Yes,
we'll meet that standard. For private schools in the state of Washington, you have to have a minimum of 1,000 hours of instruction. And we're going to do that. We'll meet that standard. One of the things that we want to do is, again, it's all built around the family and supporting the family. So we're going to start after Labor Day, and we're going to finish before Memorial Day. We'll have breaks in between there. And we're just going to be really, really efficient in the classroom and do a great job utilizing every second that we can in the classroom while still hitting that minimum standard too of 1,000 hours.
So these days, when you're around kids of school age, you see all kinds of attire. I remember one of the Wenatchee School Board candidates during the election interviews I was doing put it quite bluntly. And so that's one of the issues that you see in public schools is there's dress codes. You can't wear something with a Dallas Cowboys logo on it. There's certain kinds of things. But what about just general attire in general in terms of it being I would imagine it needs to be pretty modest at a Christian-based school. So how are you going to address that, a dress code?
Yeah. We've spoken to probably 10 different Christian schools, and it's remarkable how often this question comes up. It can be quite challenging. So we're going to try to draw a hard line and keep it simple. So for our elementary age, we're going to have uniforms for the kiddos, and it kind of matches the trivium process of the grammar where you're kind of learning the basics. So we're going to provide lots of structure. It'll be fun. I mean, nothing's cuter than a second grade girl in a little, plaid skirt and a nice. So we'll provide structure there. Then when we move to middle school, there's going to be increased flexibility and freedom that then comes with responsibility for the kids. And so we want them learning on their own in concert with their parents how to make good decisions in every area of life, including how you present yourself in a professional environment to have the best chance to raise the bar for everyone and to succeed. And so we're going to have in the middle school and in high school pretty minimum standards, because at the end of the day, for us, it's more of a heart issue than a clothing issue. And so we want to stay focused on the heart, and we think the rest will kind of work itself out. And we'll have very clear standards, and they'll absolutely be subjective. I remember a Supreme Court justice being asked, what is pornography? And Judge Scalia said, I can't define it, but I know it when I see it. And that's the same with modesty. It's like it can be hard to define. A spaghetti strap, get out the measuring tape, where's the shorts and the skirt? And it's like, we don't want to get into that. We just know it when we see it. It's like that's immodest, that's inappropriate, that's distracting. Let's dress in a professional manner that's not distracting to those around us and elevates the culture for everyone. So it'll be generic guidelines and then a call to excellence for all.
We've already talked, you've already mentioned the amount of staff that it's going to take to run this and how many people have already come forward and say they want to be a part of the staff. But what do you anticipate? Because enrollment has already opened. Folks can apply to enroll. What do you anticipate in fall of 2024 when the school bell rings? How many students may be a part of Garden City Academy? Maybe Ryan, even one of them.
Yeah, I can take that one. We've been working off the number of 260 students, and that's just an approximate estimate number based off of the facility that we have. And we figure that we can get about 20 students per grade, and that would get us to that 260 level. And then we're seeing how enrollment goes and then planning the next steps if we need to look for more space or how that goes. So enrollment just opened up, and it's clear to us that this is a very high need in the Valley and that people are very, very excited about it. And it just kind of reconfirms why we're doing this. So
10, 15 years down the road, and you're going to start at King's Orchard Church, but 10, 15 years down the road, various points along the way, would there be additional campuses, or is there going to be one big location maybe someday for a Garden City Academy?
Yeah, the dream, I think, if we could just spell it out, would be campusing our elementary schools. Leavenworth, Cashmere, Quincy, Freitas, Chelan, Wenatchee, East Wenatchee, and then centralizing our secondary. We're looking for 25, 30 acres. We dream of a world-class facility, a sports complex, fields, a field house, multiple gyms, performing arts center, business and entrepreneurial think tanks, all of those things that articulate on our dream that's on our website. And I think, Dave, by God's grace, that's our 15 or 20 year goal. But we could get there a lot quicker. We've had folks reaching out to us, very excited about this, want to help us. And if anyone's listening and has 25, 30 acres, man, we'd love to talk to them, or buildings and facilities. I think there's a good chance that, without letting too much out of the bag, we could open with multiple campuses this fall. As Ryan alluded to, with the way enrollments are going, it's signaling that we're striking a nerve. And there are families that see this as a great need. And then we haven't mentioned this, but with our ACE scholarship, Accelerating Christian Education, we're essentially underwriting about 60% of the cost of this school. And that's to the generosity of our community and multiple business levers we put in place. And so what it actually costs, about $12,600 per student, compared to what parents can actually pay, is so remarkable that it's we're wanting to make it accessible to anybody who wants it. And we don't want finances to be a reason that you can't say. I think I mentioned earlier, if the single mom of three can't send her kids, then what are we doing? And so Widows' kids come for free. Single moms' kids come for free. Everyone else who's accepted, every single student who's accepted receives the ACE scholarship, Accelerating Christian Education. So parents are seeing that. They're appreciating that. We're at people stepping up to help with endowments, to help with scholarships. It just, again, it's going to take everyone leaning in to pull this off, because it is an expensive endeavor, and it's not cheap. And we're not in a state that has school choice. And so that really limits options parents have. And so we're working hard to lean against that challenge and provide as many opportunities as possible. And one thing, and this is a total pivot here, but to pick up on what Ryan was saying, the academic schedule, one of the pieces that we're really excited about making it unique is on Fridays, work into the curriculum. We're calling it kind of Farmer Fieldcraft Fridays. There's going to be on top of that rigorous academic environment, there's going to be a ton of practical, hands-on application of what we're learning. And so a lot of opportunity for local experts in every different kind of field. Lots of opportunity for parents to come in on that Friday. Everyone kind of lets their hair down. We're out of the classroom. We're in the community.
Field trips.
It's just like weekly field trips, and it's going to be hands-on how to actually do things that matter. And so it's a fun way to make weekly practical applications with the learning in the classroom, and that's another way the community can be involved. So we're having business owners step up, offer their businesses, come tour my business, because business owners, I think, are looking at these kids going, this is my next hiring pool in the next 10 or 15 years. Kids who are well-read, understand history, can think well on their feet, can articulate themselves, are willing to show up early and stay late and work hard between the goalposts. Business owners are looking for those kind of students, and that's what we want to produce.
Unfortunately, we run out of time, but there's still more questions on my list, and sadly, we'll have to wrap it up there. But I want to let you, Ryan, I guess, as headmaster, how can folks reach you to find out how to apply if they'd like more questions answered before they make a decision? What's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I think the best way for people to get some more information is to go to gardencityfarmers.com. It's kind of our stand-in website for now, but it's got a lot of information about the school on there. And then there's contact, there's emails. If you're interested in admissions information, you can reach out to our admission office. Just general information, there's an email there, and someone from our school staff will get back to you right away.
All right. Appreciate you both being here today. Pastor Josh McPherson from the Grace City Church and Ryan McKelvie, who will be headmaster of the Garden City Academy, opening up in September of 2024. Thanks for being here on the agenda today.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks for having us.